Alan Simpson was selling 50 to 60,000 copies of Database 2 a month. No one could believe it. He ended up selling millions and millions of copies of his book. His business boomed. He was, at the time, teaching and making money as a consultant for Database. Well, he made so much money on his book that in his case, he stopped consulting because he was making more money writing. But in the short time before the money started flowing in, the day the book was published, he was the guy that had written the book on Database. So he could raise his rates from, at the time, I think he was only charging $35 an hour to $50 an hour almost overnight. So even if his books had not taken off and become these huge money makers, he would have benefited from the time he had invested in writing the book. Are there best practices for increasing influence even more? Well, yes, there are best practices. Best practices are promote your book. Once you've written the book, you need to promote the book. No one is ever going to be as enthusiastic about your book as you. No one's ever going to be as good at promoting your book as you. Now, today we have the internet. So you have Facebook ads, you have Amazon ads, you have all kinds of tricks you can do, and we have people we can refer you to, and we'll give you some information later on the details of, what you can and can't do. But all of those techniques really come down to you. How are you going to promote yourself? If you go to a party, let everyone know you wrote a book. If you are fortunate enough to be asked to be a speaker, bring your book, promote your book. Don't be shy. If you were taking the time to write the book, you certainly need to take the time to promote and market your book. We'll get into a few exceptions of authors I've represented who, for whatever reasons, nature of their personality, just refuse to promote their book. One of those people happened to be Eckhart Tolle. Eckhart is the exception. In the end, by never promoting his book, he was invited by Oprah onto her radio show, which led to the incredible webinar that Oprah and Eckhart did together. And that's the only promotion Eckhart ever did for his book. He did sell 4.5 million copies of his book during those 3 months of the course. But he's the exception. Almost everyone else, promote, promote, promote. What's an example of a book that created influence for the author, resulting in increased business? One of the best examples, a recent example, is Brendan Kane. Brendan Kane is the author of a book called 1 Million Followers. Brendan came to me and he explained that his real goal was not to be an author. He wanted to be a speaker. He was already doing some speaking. He was already very successful with his consulting. He had consulted for IKEA, he had consulted for Taylor Swift, Rihanna, many other celebrities. And his consulting was focused on testing different memes, different messages, different video clips for these clients to generate more followers on Facebook, Instagram, and other networks. So based on his experience, Brendan decided to experiment with himself. And so he wrote a book that was based on his investment of less than $10,000 in generating over 1 million followers. And he did it quite successfully and then wrote about it. And the book came out great. And since the publication of that book, Brendan has been able to quadruple his speaking fees. And he now has so many clients, he's had to hire other people for the overflow. So Brendan is a very good current case of someone who has really used a book in a positive way to increase his business. And when I speak with Brendan, he never really is that concerned with whether the book is even making any money. In fact, part of his strategy is he often gives the book away as a way of creating leads to sell his consulting services. So he's a very good example of why, if you're in business and you have a service that you believe in and that you know is going to help others, you should consider writing a book or hiring someone to write a book with you. Because what you'll learn in this course is that there are many, many resources for getting a book written. You do not have to be a great writer. In fact, I've even had some clients who can barely read, who, with assistance, have been able to generate books that have become major bestsellers and help them grow their business. Publishing for profit or business growth. So Greg Reed is another wonderful client, and he has something called a mastermind.